Hi, my name is Lily, and in my interpersonal communication class, I was assigned the Media Multiplexity Theory by Caroline Haythornthwaite. So, the main components of her theory focus around the importance of weak and strong ties that are connected with online communication and the impact of communication, media, and the internet. So, strong ties are people that we consider friends, close friends, coworkers, teammates. These people have similar personalities and social circles. They also have high motivation to share information. Weak ties are the people in our lives that we consider acquaintances, casual friends, or a friend of a friend. These people are different from one another. They have low motivation to share information. So, when reading the textbook Reflect and Relate, we were taught about the social penetration theory. It was also shown during our Professor Kennedy's lecture slides. And so the social penetration theory are three layers of how we disclose ourselves to other people. And so the first layer is the peripheral layer, and these are the things that we disclose, like our name, our college, our hometown. And the intermediate layer, we expose our music tastes, political beliefs, and leisure interests. So this is like the second layer, almost like an onion. And then the deepest layer is the central layer, and this is where we are disclosing our values, our traits, our fears, our self-awareness, things like that, and more to add on to that. But so as we see with our strong ties and weak ties, when it comes to strong ties, we're probably going to be disclosing more of ourselves to the people that we consider a stronger tie. Than when we have a weaker tie, we're probably not going to disclose as much. We'll probably just stay around the peripheral layer. So I wanted to add that in there too, almost because it intertwines with it. And so her theory she has a theory that the stronger the tie a person has with another individual, the more mediums they will use to communicate with another. And the weaker the tie, the less mediums that we will be used to communicate. So with strong ties, we'll see that they'll probably use more social media and have more private conversations with those people, like Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, email, and iMessage, schoolwork-based communications like a discussion board or emails regarding work. While weak ties, they usually just use iMessage occasionally, or message on text occasionally, email, and schoolwork-based communications. And so this also connected with the Reflect and Relate chapter 2, when they talked about the I-it relationships and the I-thou relationships. I-it for people are people that we regard as objects. So with weak ties, we're probably only communicating with people that we work with or we go to school with, or distant people that we usually don't have a strong relationship with. We're usually trying to get something out of it. So an example of a weak tie, it was kind of hard to find one online, but I did find one briefly. It's more of a meme, but it kind of just shows with a weak tie when it comes to coworkers that we don't have a strong tie with. So that was a pretty good example of a coworker that might have a weaker tie with another coworker because they aren't very excited to answer the phone. So is this realistic, and or is it practical? So when it comes to being realistic, it mirrors the way that people communicate in everyday life. People with strong relationships usually communicate frequently in multiple different ways to stay in contact anyway. And when it comes to being practical, it's pretty spot on with communication, especially with the environment that we have today. With communication, people naturally use more media with people that they are closest with. And it helps people understand their own relationships based off of the media they use. So if taking into a look at my own life with the people that have a closer tie with or a stronger tie with, I do use a lot more media to communicate with them versus people that I have a weaker tie with. I probably only use 1 to 2 forms of media to communicate with, just because our communication is more of a public basis versus a private basis. So using those 2 forms of communication seems a little bit more appropriate to talk to somebody that I have a weaker tie with than someone that I have a stronger tie with. I would probably disclose more of myself with, as well as talking with voluntarily versus not necessarily involuntarily, but almost mandatory when it comes to getting along with coworkers. You don't have to like them, but you do have to be able to work with them. So, how does this theory have relation with the field of interpersonal communication? This theory relates to interpersonal communication because it shows the impact of connection and strength that we need to have relationships. Also shows how our communication choices reflect the relationship quality, like I was kind of saying before on what media forms I would use for a weak tie and a stronger tie. It incorporates culture in different levels of relationship. So it's pretty universal when thinking of it that this coincides and works with families, it works with friends, it works with work or classmates, teammates. It just works with everyone all the way around. And a quote that I really liked in her article was at the end of her article, as she states, growth of ties should not be considered in terms of moving offline from online. Instead, they should be considered from going from public to private via whatever means support that interaction. So when thinking about having a weak tie, most of our conversations are going to be more public, more professional. When moving to a more private conversation, those are going to be when we have stronger ties, and we're going to be disclosing ourselves a little bit more than we would with a weak tie. And the strength of a tie does matter when it comes to understanding how it orchestrates and connects between existing and new group members. One of the studies that Caroline did involved a group of online learners from LEAP, the Graduate School of Library and Information Sciences, the University of Illinois, and I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Sunrise. But so they did a study where LEAP students were asked if their ties to other people in the class were anywhere between friendships or just another member in the class. And results showed that an increase of frequent communication also increased the stronger ties as well. Media use differs by tie strength, but the stronger the tie, the more mediums that will be used.